Um, Speaking of lack of options, we always do a something old, something new review style. Our something new this week is the Jennifer Lawrence movie, No Hard Feelings.
Yes. Yeah, I remember seeing people talking about this movie when it came out. Mixed reviews. Although I will say the tagline at the top, pretty awkward, is that describes this movie to a T.
Yes, she's pretty, he's awkward, and the movie is pretty awkward.
Yeah.
Now, Daniel, yesterday I actually tell them the story about what I was talking with you about yesterday when we were planning out this week's podcast.
Yeah, so yeah, we were talking about like other stuff that we were going to be reviewing for the show tonight, and then you couldn't remember what our new thing was.
Yes, I had seen it on Saturday,
Yeah.
and for the life of me, I could not remember what movie I had watched.
Yeah. So yes, I had to remind you, and you were like, "Oh yeah."
Let this set the tone for our review of No Hard Feelings.
Yes. We'll kind of do like a basic plot outline because there really isn't much to plot to talk about. Um, so Jennifer Lawrence plays Maddie.
Oh, thank
Uh,
God you remember the characters' names.
I had to look it up. Yeah, yeah. Well, but yeah, she plays Maddie. She's living in Montauk, New York, which is like a little beach town in Long Island. And she's working as a bartender and an Uber driver. But then her ex boyfriend, who owns a tow truck company, comes and tows away her car because the state is taking possession of it due to her not paying her property taxes.
Which her property taxes have been raising thanks to gentrification in the area.
Yes. And so she's trying to figure out. Now, I will give her character some credit. She's not looking to take the really easy way out. She's just kind of taking an easier way out. So she's like, "Well, I need a car. She needs a car so that she can keep driving for Uber
Right.
because the money she's making bartending isn't going to cover what she owes." And so she finds an ad on Craigslist for a used Buick Regal, and I think that I remember it being a Buick.
Yeah, it's like 40. Yeah, it's like Buick, 40K miles,
Yeah,
brand
and
used.
there's no price tag on it, and what the ad is this wealthy middle-aged couple wants a young lady to date their 19-year-old son.
Date.
Yeah, date before he goes off to college because he's very very shy, very introverted, and he's lived a very insular life. And of course, his parents. The dad is played by Matthew Broderick. Um,
Which in a very non-standard role for Matthew Broderick.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely not something he usually does. But yeah, they basically tell her, well, if you can date date him and then like get him. Yeah. Yes.
For those of you watching the radio program, I have made an O symbol with one finger, with one hand, and I'm poking it with my other finger.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
a class review that you get here.
yes. And so if she does that, then she gets the car, and that's basically the movie is just her trying to, you know, yeah, yeah, if you like pipes with him.
Yep.
But yeah, that's basically the plot. So she's trying to she's dates him and tries to get him to come out of his shell so that she can get the car, and hijinks and awkward things ensue, including their first time they meet when because so he volunteers at an animal shelter, and she is so painfully obvious that she's trying to, trying to hook up with him, that it's just like the only person who couldn't tell that is the kid, because he's
Yeah.
Percy is his name.
Uh,
Yeah.
and he thinks that she's tried to kidnap him, so he maces her.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
in all honesty, I mean, she picks him up in a beat up old van. I
yeah,
mean,
it's kind of sketch.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Dorado, we'll answer your question in a moment.
Yes.
So there are okay. So this is kind of a classic screwball comedy.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's also one based on awkwardness. What I would say is that as comedy, there are scenes that work and there are scenes that really don't.
Yeah.
Uh, J Law has to carry a lot of it because the writing is kind of thin in places,
Hmm.
and just a lot of the jokes are, she's 15 years older than him, and it's just the generational divide between higher end Gen Z and millennials. They
Yeah.
do some things with her saying triggering things at a kids party or
Well,
a young adults party.
yeah, 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 yeah. High school teenager party. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like these upper class people being offended that she implied that two of them were dating. It's like, why is that an insult? And then like
Yeah. Yeah.
they whip out their phones and are recording her.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
feel like they don't ever actually like they kind of they neither make the joke necessarily and they don't really have anything to say about it. It's just like a fact of the show or the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I like the part where she's going through all the bedrooms and she opens the doors, and none
It's,
of the kids are, none of the teenagers are, doing anything, doing any adult activities. They're either like
yeah,
playing video games or looking at their phones. And she's like, doesn't anyone have sex anymore?
yeah, yeah. So it's like a generational thing, but also a class thing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and then a joke that really didn't work was, of course, like when she loses her car,
Hmm.
and she has to she has to get around on rollerblades. Which, I mean, is she so poor that she can't get a bicycle? Because bicycles are more effective transportation than rollerblades. But
Might be that she just already happened to already have rollerblades from her childhood.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, so she rollerblades to the kid's house and meets the parents, and there are these steps that she's got to go up, and they're like, "Oh, oh yeah, come on up," and she's still
She's
wearing her
yeah.
rollerblades.
She's like, hey, can you come down to me? It's like
Yeah,
you have shoes in your backpack, you dip. Just change.
yeah, yeah. It's
That was
yeah,
kind of forced.
yeah, it was. Um,
Also, you do get to J Law is finally cashing in on the fappening, I guess, unless that's a body double.
no, that was her.
Okay,
Yeah, that was
so
definitely her. Yeah,
uh, and if it's in a scene where she and the guy go skinny dipping, and someone goes to try to steal their stuff, and she is kind of the one wearing the pants in the relationship, and goes out there and has to fight to get their stuff back.
yeah, yeah.
Though
And
that scene
yeah,
wasn't as funny as I'm probably overselling the scene a bit.
yeah. It was weird. It's just
Yeah,
weird. Yeah,
that's a lot of this movie is just weird.
yeah. And
So,
Ninja asks if they do get together at the end.
well, okay, non-spoiler thoughts.
Yeah,
This is a very uneven movie. I could
mhm,
see people I know who would like it and people I know who would not like it.
yeah,
Both actors are able to sell their characters pretty well.
yeah, yeah,
And it does actually have, I would say that it's less funny and it more has good heart because the two characters do go on a journey
yeah.
and become better people by the end of it.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's got that going for it. It isn't a nihilistic movie, which is kind of what I was almost expecting.
Yeah, yeah. If just real quick, I would give it a soft recommend.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
Uh,
not a ringing endorsement, but I mean, I've seen worse comedies.
If you have a Netflix subscription, it's better than The Man from Toronto. I tried to watch that on my parents' recommendation, and I just did not hit.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
why it didn't show up as a thing of the week for me. It's at
yeah,
any point. Uh, now
yeah.
then, spoiler alert.
Yes.
Five, four, three, two, one. Daniel, did they get together in the end?
No. Okay. Uh, they do get in bed together, but it doesn't last very long. But no, but by the end of the movie, they're just friends, and um, she uh, Jennifer Lawrence ends up selling her house to a couple who are friends of hers, who are having a baby, and then she decides she's going to move to California,
Which
and
no, Texas, Tennessee, Florida. These are the states you move to if you're leaving, if you're fleeing from New York.
yes, indeed, yeah,
Maybe
uh,
Washington if you don't want to deal with income tax.
yeah. um, but and then but the last scene is her driving him to college. So
Yep. Or like her last Uber drive.
yes, yeah,
So
but yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it is both better and worse than I thought it would be, if that makes sense. Because I was expecting more just raw debauchery, which
Yeah.
might have made it more edgy and funny, but wouldn't have given it this. I it would have made it harder to recommend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to compare it to another female comedy well, for female-driven comedy I saw earlier in the year. What was that one with all the where they're in
Oh,
China?
um, not the I keep wanting to say Joy Luck Club, but that's
Me,
not it.
me too. That's blatantly wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I know the movie you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
It's a road trip. It was a road trip movie.
yeah, 2023
Um,
Joyride. That's
Joyride.
why we were thinking Joy Luck Club.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. If I compare it to Joyride, I would have an easier time recommending this than Joyride, just because Joyride was just needlessly crass through the whole thing, and the only real joy or the only real journey is the main character becoming more in tune with her culture,
Mm,
which and then nobody else really had an interesting arc in my opinion.
yeah. Okay.
So like this,
Yeah.
this is much better if you want your comedies to have some heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And some growth in your main characters. Yeah.
Yep.